Come and have a seat.
To sit behind you. Show solidarity.
Say when, Aaron. Good morning and welcome to the Quail Creek Republican Club live streaming meeting. Today we have 4 candidates and a couple of our officers here with us. We're outside. We're practicing all of the safe distancing. We are using clean hand procedures, but we want to bring you the message of our candidates today. So welcome. We will be going through today. Our agenda is we will begin with an opening prayer. We will do our Pledge of Allegiance. We will then go on and talk about some special comments, and then we'll introduce our candidates. Today we have with us Joseph Morgan from CD2, Deborah McEwen from Legislative District 2, Bill Bracco, our Sahuarita City Council member, and Rich Ullery, our Continental School Board member. If I may ask you to bow your heads. This morning, I'm going to read a prayer that was written by our board member, Dave Roy. We thank you, dear Lord, for bringing us together today in spite of the very difficult circumstances we are facing. Thank you for giving Shelley and the board members the strength and the guidance to make this meeting possible. We pray for everyone in our world who has been stricken with the coronavirus, for those who have died and those who will battle it in the future. Protect our scientists and medical workers. Keep them safe as they cure and save lives. Thank you for helping us all, regardless of color, creed, religion, or political beliefs, as we prepare for and strive to win this battle. Also, we ask that you watch over us today as we proceed to select leaders who will make decisions that will glorify you and support the achievements of our forefathers. Help them as they formulate common sense plans, procedures, and laws that will keep us free and safe. In your name, God, we pray. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bracco.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So as we start today, one thing I want to remind everybody, we're just here, a group of 10 standing outside, but our candidates are still working very hard. And so there's some things that you can do for candidates that won't be in groups. Pretty soon we're going to be putting up signs, and you'll be able to go out and put up signs for your candidates. You can phone bank for your candidates. There are lots of things. So if you have a favorite candidate or if you meet one today, please be sure and give them a call and let them know how you can help them. Also, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that the Green Valley GOP office is open over off of La Cañada. And so they are open and they have information if you need to register to vote or you want information on any of the candidates. We will recognize our new members at our next group meeting. So as we begin, we're going to listen to 4 candidates today. They will have 10 minutes to speak. And when they're done speaking, if you have any questions, please add the questions, and then we'll have all 4 of them. And if there's a question for one of them, please let us know, and we will have them answer the questions. So I'd like to introduce our first candidate. Joseph Morgan was born and raised in Tucson. He holds a master's degree in U.S. history with an emphasis on American constitutionalism from the University of Arizona, with a minor in aerospace mechanical engineering. He has written for the Western Free Press and was a conservative columnist for the Arizona Daily Star. Mr. Morgan worked as a financial advisor with AXA Advisors for more than 4 years right out of college. He currently works at Pima Community College with Upward Bound, a program that helps underprivileged children obtain scholarships. He is actively engaged in community service work in Tucson and is a founding board member of the American Patriot Memorial, which advocates for the promotion of patriotism in our community. Mr. Morgan is currently running for public office in the 2nd Congressional District of Arizona. Joseph?
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
You have to compete with the birds.
That's not a bad competition to have. This is beautiful, the sunlight, all this outside weather. But I want to thank you for those who are here. I want to thank you to our friend for setting this up. And just want to say to the members who are watching this and will continue to watch this, my reason for running for public office, we're getting to see it unfold clearly with the leadership and, in my opinion, lack of leadership playing out here in this coronavirus response. Being born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, which is a blue of blue districts in not just Arizona, but actually in the country. I've been under basically Democrat rule my entire life, and I've been involved in a lot of political campaigns behind the scenes, helping candidates knock on doors. Of late with my writing, I helped write some things for candidates, helped them with trying to become more brushed up on policy-related matters and things. And what happened in 2018, we became bluer than we've ever been in Pima County. I've never seen it this bad. And so I decided at that point, I was going to give up an opportunity that I had to actually expand my radio talk show to a Monday through Friday. And I was going to pursue public office because I saw what was happening, not just here where I live, but across the country. And it reminded me of a saying that they attribute to Edmund Burke that says that all it takes for evil to succeed is good men to do nothing. And I've never had a desire to be in public office. I've had a desire to serve my community, which is what I've done and continue to do. I volunteer regularly out at the Wilmot State Prison. That's been put on hold, obviously, via the state guidelines regarding coronavirus. And I just wanted to actually do my part and get involved. But I never wanted to be out in front because, frankly, my dream is probably the dream of most Americans. I would have liked to be married, have a family, be left alone. But somebody's got to be willing to go and serve and do it in a capacity that advocates for individual liberty and less government. And all I see happening all the time, and especially from where I am in Pima County, is we constantly have people elected to office who are promoting more government, more problems. That every problem, the solution is more government than the advance thereof. And I disagree with that fundamentally. It's not what built this country. And this crisis point that we have, this crisis inflection that we are being brought to in this country is a perfect reminder of that. I think, and I want to say thank you to President Donald Trump for his leadership on the coronavirus thing, because I think it's been dead on. And in fact, very early on, when I wasn't even really paying attention and most people weren't, he was leading. He put that travel ban in on China, whereas if Europe, in particular Italy, had done something like that, it might not have been as bad in Italy. And yet, from that point on, he's been nothing but attacked. If you look at his State of the Union speech, which I totally glossed over watching that myself, he actually spoke about coordinating with China to deal with coronavirus. That was February 4th. The man's been out in front of this. He's not ignoring, but he's at the same time trying to be calm and measured. And every time he speaks to this matter, he's got real substance when he comes forth with the CDC and everybody else, and not trying to induce panic. And what I've seen from the media and then the Democrats, the Democrat leadership, including the lady that I'm running to remove from office, their entire response to this entire thing has been attack Donald Trump. Whatever we have to do, forget what we said yesterday. The media helps them. They twist the words of President Trump, and then they continue on with their agenda. That's not leadership. And then it's filtered down, and to some of the things that have been going on the local level, where these politicians, these elected leaders, wanting to be seen as leading, are doing things which I think should be called into question, as they are limiting your personal liberties, and it's all in the name of safety and security. And I get that, but the founding fathers taught us we should question that, not just willingly concede all of your liberties in the name of security. And some people are saying they're going to have these mandatory lockdowns for months and months and months, and that's not what Donald Trump's been saying at all. President Trump's been saying we're going to try to get this done and everything good within 3 weeks. We'll play it out by ear, because they're not calling for panic. They're trying to call for calm, and yet protect the American people. And yet we don't have that kind of leadership, especially from Ann Kirkpatrick, who is still continuing to call for immigrants and asylum people to be let into this country, that they should be cared for. She's still on that narrative, that talking point. And I don't understand that. And I've seen it my entire life. Again, being in my vantage point from Tucson, this comes from the fact that we don't have public servants. And that's really the heart of what it drives me. We are supposed to have people who are dedicated to service. That's their whole motivation. It's not money. It's not power. It's not an opportunity to advance themselves and their family. And yet, in the modern era of politics, and this happens on both sides of the aisle, we see people who are well pedigreed, well connected, and they're kind of thrust upon us. And I ask everybody this all the time: when's the last time you really went to a poll and voted for somebody that you wanted to vote for because you said that person can be my representative? A representative is supposed to be a voice for you. That means they're supposed to listen to their constituents, but also they're supposed to educate themselves. They're supposed to take as much information on any public policy as they can. They're not supposed to shoot from the hip, and they're certainly not supposed to be looking for every opportunity to expand their own power by advancing government. No, government is at best, as James Madison said, a necessary evil. James Madison was quoting that later on, but that's actually Thomas Paine. It's a necessary evil. We need it. I'm for it, but that's not the solution to all of our problems. And anytime you hear something that says, hey, more government is the solution, no, that's wrong. And that's where we need representative leadership, people who really want to actually maintain the principles that built this country, even in the midst of crisis, when it's the easiest for a government official to cry for more government because it makes them look good. And that's wrong. We need sound advice. We need sound leadership who actually know what they're talking about. But that requires hard work on the part of our leaders to really want to do that. And I don't know about you, but a lot of the people who are in office right now, some of them are so ignorant, the things they say, and you're wondering to yourself, how did these people get elected? Well, they got elected because of the world we live in. There's voter apathy, but then you have the media, which is literally the national media writ large, which is the talking head of the Democrat Party now. They're not objective. They don't even attempt to be objective. They're not trying to educate. They're not trying to teach people. And so it's even more incumbent upon somebody, a principal, to stand up and say, I'm going to be a voice for people. And so I encourage you, because that's what I've done. The conservative principles that built this country are still the ones that will lead us in our immigration crisis, still the one that will lead us in medical care, still the one that will lead us in economic development of this region, which has been hit so hard long before there was this coronavirus panic that had set in. Our region has suffered, and it's suffered because of poor leadership. I have an economic development plan. You can see it on my website, JosephMorganForCongress.com. That's Joseph Morgan, the number 4Congress.com. I also am the only candidate that has a medical care plan. And it is liberty-centric. It is calling out government for the lies they've spread on this, and calling people to see some of the solutions that we can start to begin to implement to actually lower the cost and expand the care. Not get rid of the care and just focus on the cost and call for Medicare for all and health care for all. No. We want to expand the care, and we want to make it more efficient, and we want to make it cheaper. And that only happens through competition. That only happens by expanding the marketplace on any item. And so there are real ideas out there. Go to my website again, and you can see my plan and my solution there that I put forth. These are just ideas that I put forth because I continue to educate myself, and I want the people that I'm going to represent to know that I know what I'm talking about on some of these things because I'm educating myself, and they can trust that. But I'm also listening. I will always listen. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from experts on anything. So again, I thank you for this time. I thank you for, again, the beautiful surrounding. Thank you for your hospitality, Shelley. And again, I want to end by announcing that we are on the ballot. We're the first ones in Congressional District 2 on the ballot. We've got over 1,000 signatures. So if you'd like to jump in and join my massive team of volunteers who helped me get that accomplished, I thank you for that. Again, you can find more information at josephmorganforcongress.com. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph. It's so hard not to shake hands and it's so hard to not touch. So congratulations on getting on the ballot. Our next speaker would have been Kim Owens. And Kim is not here today. She is self-quarantining in Phoenix. And she will be adding, we will be adding her to this video with a video that she sent to us. So you will still get to hear from her, a candidate for the Arizona Corporation Commission. Our next candidate is going to be Deborah McEwen. Deborah is a second-generation American from Hungarian immigrants who fled war-torn Europe for religious and economic betterment. Her family lived the American dream by learning the language, working hard, following the laws of the land, and developing a successful milk farm in Michigan. Born in Michigan and raised in Iowa, the Heartland afforded a small-town upbringing with conservative Christian values. After high school, Deborah attended college in Pennsylvania and received a degree in sociology. She went to work with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and started her career in forensic science. Her first crime scene consisted of the photographic identification of 212 souls of the United Airlines flight 232 crash in Sioux City, Iowa. That was personal for me. Her criminal justice career spans 32 years in forensic identification work, testifying in court, training law enforcement officers, writing grants and policies, supervising laboratory departments, inspecting and certifying forensic laboratories. After retiring, Deborah started a second career as a quality assurance manager for a nutrition company. Deborah retired to Arizona a few years ago with her husband and their rescued pets. She soon found Santa Cruz County to be lacking in the true American spirit of accountability, conservative Christian values, and equality for all its citizens. Building off her quality assurance and accountability background, Deborah's goal is to fill the Arizona LD2 House seat with a representative that represents, not rules. Deborah?
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you. Wow. Did I write that bio? Is that really mine? First of all, I am a conservative Republican, and of the Republican values, I just want to clarify for people that a lot of Republicans you see aren't really true Republicans when they get to work. Now, I'm not a politician. I'm just a person who identifies and sees what people should be doing. And as a conservative Republican, I am for less taxes, less government. I am pro-life. I am pro-school choice. And capitalism and free enterprise are the way that we are going to grow our economy and be successful in our district. I am pleased to announce that I have my signatures and I'm going to be on the ballot. I have an appointment on March 31st, so my hard work is done, but I'm still going to continue to collect signatures and those $5 clean election campaign funds throughout the rest of the month until I actually file. And I just wanted to let people know that, like Shelley said earlier, please continue to give and support for the candidates. We all need that extra oomph out there because of all the shutdowns going on. So the azsos.gov site is where you would go to contribute those signatures and the $5 clean election campaign money. I want to tell you a little bit about Santa Cruz, the legislative district that I'm going to be representing. And Santa Cruz, unfortunately, has a demography of low population, low economy, and low education standards. And they've been that way for the last 10 years. If you look at any charts and graphs on Santa Cruz County alone, it's very flat. There's no growth. As a matter of fact, we've lost over 1,000 residents in Santa Cruz County, and 500 of those are Republicans. So those stats are very disheartening. And two of the stats that seem to be of interest to people are the increase in tax rate. You have 2% increase in tax rate on a population of 46,500 people. And that kind of tax base for those people in a low economy, low population is not good. We also have high government employees. So if you look at the stats on those, we have about twice as much as the national average in government employees. Twice as many people as any other county, twice as many people as any other county in the United States that are managing and governing people. And I don't know why it takes so many people to govern so few of the population. That's something that needs to be looked at and reduced greatly. South Tucson is not much better. They are also having economic problems and school problems. The roads are in disrepair, and there's a lot of school closures going on. Overall, Arizona has seen an increase in population, an increase in economic growth. So the LD2 district that I'm representing is suffering greatly by not being able to tap in and enjoy those benefits that the rest of our state is. And now we're seeing a tapering off of that growth and economic development across the state. It's still growing, but it's starting to taper off. So LD2 is behind the 8 ball on that, and we need to do stuff to get it to speed up a little bit. Our district, where I come from, is concentrating on the wrong issues. They are trying to bring in businesses that are going to support sales jobs and food service jobs, minimum wage paying jobs. There's no impetus here to look for highly skilled, highly paid jobs in this economy. So that needs to be turned around. And one of the things that we are proud of down in Santa Cruz County is our produce companies. Right across the border is one of the largest distributors of produce from Mexico, coming across with the trucking industry. But when it comes across, it rests, it unstocks and restocks and heads on down the road. There is no economic development going on in the produce industry that is of benefit to the LD area that I'm representing. I'd like to see some changes there. You have support systems already set up in that area. We have the Department of Agriculture. You've got health food and training services there for sanitation. You've got land available for building. You have warehousing and truck transportation, logistics facilities. You have everything down there except manufacturing and industry. With all that benefit and support of systems that you have going on there, one has to ask, why is there no growth going on in the LD2 area? We are looking in the future here, right here in Santa Cruz County, of one of the biggest economic developments we've seen in years, and it is the mining industry. And everybody cringes when you say mining because it usually had bad connotation. But what we need to talk about now is a new age of mining, one with better technology, better environmental impact ability. And this is going to be in our neighborhood in Patagonia at the Hermosa mine. If you've ever been to the mine to take a tour, I would encourage you to do that. You would be very pleased with what you're seeing that they've done with the land reclamation, cleaning up of the tailings, and their plan for the future. They're doing exploratory work right now to that area. They're looking at 400 to 600 more jobs in that area alone. Now, with those jobs, you're going to have skilled workers that are working there. And the community colleges need to step up, which they are doing, and in combination with the Australian company that has brought in that mine, they're going to be looking at technical journeyman programs to train people in the area, young students and adults. They're going to train them up in technical skills. The STEM programs, the science, engineering, technology, and math programs that they're developing are going to play a big role in the progress of the mines and the future growth of that area with just those studies and technological classes that they bring in. This type of job in your area is going to greatly improve the economic condition down there. When you raise the economic level of a community, you're raising the quality of life of everyone there, the children, the families, and that's going to allow them to stay in that area, to raise their families, keep the family unit together, and also give your children the opportunity to have high-paying jobs with high-skilled labor that they can use not only in their community, but if they want to go someplace else, they are free to move around and choose the best job for their best quality of life. And that's what we're looking for. Also, when you have better economic conditions around your local areas, you're going to have less crime. Your kids are being less tempted to be on drugs and get into crime to subsidize their lifestyle. So we want to keep that local and really improve and lift up the economic condition. Another thing you might want to keep an eye out for is the training programs for natural gas vehicles. We have a few buses around the Tucson area right now that are running on natural gas. But with that new technology comes the need for mechanical services on that. So there again, a need for the community schools and colleges to step up. One final topic that I would like to touch on today is important not only to LD2, but for the rest of the nation, and that is our border security. You've probably heard recently that 27 miles of new border wall is going to be built, and it's down in my area, LD2, in Santa Cruz. And it's going to go around Nogales and Keno Springs. I can't tell you how many times traveling up and down the road and going through the border crossings, I see that the vehicles being pulled over, they're identifying drugs, and they're arresting our children, our family members, people coming over from Mexico, running for the smugglers and the drug distributors. That needs to stop. Anyone who is against building the wall and border security and improving the lives of our people in this country do not have the best interest of our children. So once again, I am Deborah McEwen, and I thank you very much. I'm running for representative in LD2. God bless.
Thank you, Deborah. So we've heard from our federal candidate, who is Joseph Morgan, our state candidate, Deborah McEwen, and now we're going to hear from a city candidate. Now, but before we do that, for those of you who are joining us outside of Arizona, what do you think? Blue skies. If you look, if you can see behind us, there's a little bit of snow up in the mountains. It was about 38 degrees this morning, and now it feels like it's about 60, and most of us are feeling a little bit overdressed in the sun. It's just a lovely, lovely day. Thank you for joining us. Our next candidate is Bill Bracco. Bill Bracco came to Sahuarita in 2005 from the Washington, D.C. area. He was elected to town council in 2011 and served as the vice mayor from June 2013 to December 2016. His professional career has provided him the opportunity to live and work throughout the United States. Prior to moving to Sahuarita, Bracco was employed by Sprint, founding their computer incident response team, and later was in charge of their global data security operations center. He has supported the national defense and intelligence community by providing information security services. Bracco is a retired major in the U.S. Army Reserve with 21 years of service, serving as a military intelligence, psychological operations, and information operations officer. He holds a BA in sociology from Fordham University, Bronx, New York, and an MS in systems management from the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, California. In 2005, Bracco started a service business in the Tucson area. As a small business owner, Bracco believes that simplifying procedures should enable local businesses and programs to grow the economy. His depth of real-world business experience highlights his focus on the importance of excellence in customer service and delivery. He actively promotes business relationships between the greater Tucson area, neighboring states, and Mexico. Bracco sold his business in October of 2019. Bracco and his beautiful wife are active members and volunteers with American Legion Post 66 and the American Legion Riders, where he serves as treasurer. They enjoy motorcycling, hiking, and spending time with their family. Bracco is the vice chairman for the Green Valley Sarita Chamber of Commerce. He is also a life member of the NRA, a life member of the Military Officers Association of America, a life member of Disabled American Veterans, a life member of American Legion Post 66, and a member of the Gold Wing Road Riders Association. Please welcome Bill Bracco.
Good morning, thank you. And I want to thank Shelley and the board of the Quail Creek Republican Club for this invitation. I've been on the council since 2011. Back then we had our elections in the spring, so that was seated in May. And I ran on a platform of mostly economic development. At that time, most of the council members had various backgrounds in academia and other such things. And I thought as a small business owner, I'd be a good fit to kind of move things along in the economic development area. The good news is I am on the ballot, turned in my signatures, and thank you to a lot of people here and the Quail Creek Republicans as well. So that part is done. I'm not a typical politician. I work. This is a job for me. The main reason I'm running, I was actually going to walk away after 2 terms, but because of some folks that left and we had to replace them, there are going to be 5 seats on the ballot this coming election. And with if you take 4 of those, you can control the council. And I thought that we've got too many good things going on in the town of Sarita, too many things happening. If you've been around since 2010, 2011, I think you've seen a little bit of change in the economic development profile of our town. And I did not want that to lose out. So I decided to make one more term, again, in the name of service to keep the town moving in the direction it's heading. So I thought after that part of the politics side, I thought it would be best to talk about what's going on. The Quail Creek extension, which I understand some people talk about here. We're looking at doing a full Quail Creek Boulevard extension project, which will take you from outside your gate, straight across the valley, cross over the Santa Cruz River, and right up to basically where Walmart is. Right now, we've got that 0.8 mile extension, which goes down to the Anza Park, kind of the road to nowhere at this point. But that was just the first phase. We were looking at 2 different ways of doing this, an in-grade crossing of the river, which would have to be closed during the monsoon season when the water was running. And we looked at a low flow bridge. The decision was made to go with the low flow bridge. That would be available most of the year. In fact, probably of most years, all of the year, except for high rain periods where it may be capped over, but the bridge will be designed to take that. So that part is moving along. We're considering, let's see, the design is underway. We anticipate having the final plans in early 2021, and at that time, the project will be put out for public bid. So we're looking at about an 18-month construction time, so which will put us into 2022, 2023 timeframe to complete that entire project. The Union Pacific Railroad overlay work, which if anybody came in the last day or two, you've seen what's happening there. That was scheduled for February because of some control issues with the way UP does some of their signaling. There was some coordination and technical issues that had to be worked out, and now they're back there completing that project. Samtec, this project broke ground in October of 2019, and the estimated completion date is May 2020. That's our Sarita Advanced Manufacturing Technology Center. You see that being built up on La Cañada and Sarita Road, that intersection up there. That was going to be our incubator space for high-tech robotics type work. Some of the companies that had indicated that they were interested in that may or may not go in there. So at this time, because of the grant we got from EDA, we will be building a 32,000 square foot facility, excuse me, mostly a shell at this point, and we'll build out as we find tenants for that facility. You may have heard about the Sarita Square Design Concept Report. It was approved by the Town Council back in March. And what we're looking to do is evaluate a catalyst project. What that'll do is provide the beginnings of the Sarita Square, which will be along the Santa Cruz River area on La Bolita Road. But what we have to do is get some design and some conceptual work done to include bringing water and sewer into that area. So that's what we're working on right now. The Sarita Medical Center, Northwest Hospital, which is a two-story medical center, will total over 70,000 square feet when completed. The first floor will contain 18 beds, an emergency room, and 2 operating rooms. And then second phase will be the second floor, which will contain medical offices and planned services such as primary care, cardiology, orthopedics, and general surgery. This is estimated to be completed by the third quarter of this year. My understanding is they actually may be doing interviewing at the late spring, early summer for jobs for the hospital. Biz Launch 2020, the town has teamed up with the University of Arizona Center for Innovation for the Biz Launch program. This is an 8-week entrepreneurial development program that teaches business skills necessary for successful business startups. We've done a lot of work with the University of Arizona. We've done a lot of work here at the town, taking some of the small home-based businesses and training them up, getting them information. How do you get loans? How do you advance? How do you grow your business? So that's been very successful. And that was all part of the economic development team looking to say, all right, we've already got some businesses started here. How do we get them to grow here as well? Some new businesses coming to the town. Arby's, which is not yet under construction, will be coming over by the Fry's gas station. And we've got an Indian grill in the Sahuarita Marketplace. That's where the old Mama's Barbecue was going to be. They had some issues during tenant improvements and some flooding and stuff, so it's slowed it down, but the completion date is to be determined, but it's coming along. Some interesting numbers. New permits issued for single-family homes are increasing. We've issued more permits pulled in December, January, and February than were pulled in each of those months in the past 4 years. So the growth of single-family housing is doing very well in the town. And we're on pace to have the largest year for the number of single-family resident permits pulled in some time. But it's yet to be seen what the impact of the whole virus issue is going to do. Some of this that we're looking at for expenditures may have to be tempered because we don't know the impact this is going to have on our businesses, our sales tax, et cetera. So next year's budget is a little tentative at this point. So we're going to have to play with that. Once again, my name is Bill Bracco. I'm running for re-election for the town of Sarita, and I ask for your vote. Thank you very much for having me.
So, Councilmember Bronco, I can tell you, looking out at this beautiful weather, I know why people are pulling all those permits to come here. So we've got birds, and so I hope you're hearing the birds, because we are one of the premier birding sites in the United States. And right behind us in those mountains, as you're going up there, is Madeira Canyon. And Madeira Canyon is a fabulous place for coming to watch birds and just a lot of hiking, picnicking. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. So we've talked about our federal issues, our state issues, our city issues, the growth and excitement that we're seeing here in Southern Arizona. And now I want to introduce to you Rich Ullery. Rich moved to Green Valley 2.5 years ago from Northern California. He retired after a 35-year career in the commercial property casualty insurance industry. He served as the regional vice president of the Hartford Insurance Group with a profit center responsibility in the Detroit, Michigan, and Northern California offices. Following retirement, he began active involvement with the California Republican Party, serving as a state delegate, Nevada County GOP chairman, and was elected from his congressional district to the California Republican Party Platform Committee. He is a graduate of Colorado State University. And Linda, his beautiful wife, if you are watching, thank you so much for sharing your husband with us this morning, because today, Linda and Rich are celebrating their 49th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
They have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Congratulations, best wishes. Rich is coming to talk to us about the Continental School Board and maybe a few things for happy marriages.
Thanks, Shelley, and thanks to the Quail Creek Republican Board for putting this together and really allowing us to continue to communicate with Republicans here in Quail Creek and others who have ever signed in to watch this live stream today. We're open and we're communicating, even though so many other organizations have canceled events and really shut down operations during this virus crisis. Again, my name is Rich Ullery, and I was appointed to fill a vacancy on the Continental School Board 2 months ago. I've been to 2 meetings, and I am running for a full 4-year term in the election in November. I've never been involved in education before, except for my own and that of my kids. And so I've got a lot to learn, and I'm learning every day. Let me just update you briefly on what's going on right now with Continental Schools. It's closed, as is every other school in the state of Arizona. We don't know how long that closure is going to last. There's some speculation that it will last through the end of the school year. We hope not. We hope our kids can get back in the classroom as soon as possible. But Continental School is continuing to operate. They have set up modified learning and education programming online. Every student in grades 3 through 8 has a Chromebook, and they will be accessing lessons that are provided by their teachers on a daily basis on the internet at home. And for those families that do not have access to the internet at home, Continental School has 11 hotspots that they can provide to those families, and there are another 15 of those that are on order. Additionally, the school lunch program is incredibly important to so many families in the district, and that will continue. Breakfasts and sack lunches will be distributed at 6 different locations throughout the district. Any parent can bring their child and pick those up from any one of those 6 locations, and they will be available as long as Continental School is closed. So what are the reasons that I have decided to run for the school board? I've never run for elective office in the past. I've been concerned for several years now about the academic quality that our students are receiving in especially our public schools. I feel that our kids are falling behind in their achievement, in the development of their academic skills, especially against kids from other countries and in their ability to compete in the global marketplace and the global economy that they're all going to be faced with at some point. Continental School, over the past few years, had lost its state accountability grade, gone from an A to a B. That has concerned me. And a special concern is the level of academic achievement on the part of the students. With one exception, and that's our grade 5 students, less than 50% of the students at Continental are achieving grade level standards in math and English language arts. And I just feel that those situations have to turn around. Our kids have got to be achieving a minimum of grade level standards if they're going to be effectively to compete. And I guess lastly, I'm running because I think I can provide a business mind and some financial acumen to the board. I also feel it's incredibly important that more conservative Republicans run and are elected to school boards throughout this country. So what are my key objectives as a board member? I've really got 5 of them. I want to pursue policies that ensure that every student at Continental School is able to read, write, and speak English at or above grade level. And that's certainly not the case today. I want to maintain or increase standards of academic quality and academic excellence. I feel that in many states, we're dumbing down those high standards and in the interest of maintaining a lot or not having any discrimination. And I think that's really a false belief. We need to maintain the high standards for our kids so that they're able to compete and they develop the skills that are necessary. I want to establish measurable annual standards so that each kid in each grade, really throughout the K-8 system, that we are achieving higher and higher percentages of kids that are achieving their academic standards for their grade level. If we don't monitor and we don't measure those goals we set, we'll never achieve improvement in those levels of achievement. I also am a strong advocate of school choice. And I believe that competition improves education. And that the competition that is provided by private and magnet and charter schools will improve the academic quality in our public schools. But while I say that, I'm also absolutely dedicated to make sure that the Continental School District is the premier school of choice for academic excellence in Pima County. And then finally, it's very, very important, especially in these days, that we keep Continental safe for not only the coronavirus, but also school violence. We need to keep it safe for all parents and faculty members and teachers and the administration. It's very, very important objective that we as school board members need to achieve. So again, my name's Rich Ullery. I'm running for the Continental School Board, and I ask for your vote in November. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. So what a great opportunity to hear from our candidates. Do we have any questions for any of the candidates?
3 questions from Tom Fisk. First one's for Joe Morgan.
Mr. Morgan, come on up so we can see you.
Tom Fisk says, thank you for your candidacy. How would you differentiate yourself from Brandon Martin, another CD2 Republican candidate?
I've met Brandon several times. I think the biggest difference between myself and Brandon that I can see is not in our baseline conservatism, because everything I see from him and I've heard from him and spoken to him is he's a solid conservative. He believes in American exceptionalism, and especially like on border security issues, we're probably totally in alignment. That There's nothing wrong with American nationalism, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that we want to have a sovereign border. You cannot have a nation without a border. On pro-life issues, he and I are completely in agreement on this, that you should not be able to murder a life just because it's in the womb. And you certainly should be defunding Planned Parenthood with federal tax dollars. Things like gun control, we're totally opposed to it. Red flag laws, totally opposed to it. So I think the biggest difference that I've been able to see on a policy related aspect is I have made an effort to educate myself on things that I don't really know and didn't know as much about. I mean, I had a principled stance on I'm opposed to government control of healthcare and stuff like that, but really diving into the details so that you can put forward conservative solutions to things so we can advocate for those, so that we can start the ball moving and advocating towards less government in medical care. If you go to my website and see my plan for that and prescription drug prices, how to lower those, how to get government out of it, not increase government in it, you'll find that's a huge difference between myself and Brandon. He doesn't have anything on that. And in fact, a lot of elected Republicans and my fellow Republicans don't as well. And I don't understand that. In fact, that's one of the major reasons why I think that we lose elections. They're able to put us over the barrel and say, we don't have any solutions other than repeal Obamacare. And then things like economic development. Again, I have a plan for economic development, and I'm going to continue to emphasize those kind of plans. And that's on my website as well. He has nothing like that. I haven't heard him speak about any of those kind of things. And I don't know why that is. I think that if you're going to be a public candidate for whatever office, you must do the job of educating yourself so that you can serve and represent your constituents better. And that's really the way I would answer that question. But thank you for it. I appreciate it.
Next question is for Deborah McEwen.
Deborah, come on up.
It's from Tom Fisk. He says, "You go, girl." Given the blueness of our area, how do you plan to move forward?
I think we really need to concentrate and look at our citizens' involvement in government and let them voice their concerns and share their ideas. There's been too much control going on in local government in many areas. Some areas are very successful. And I think that in order to bring to light and improve the economy, our education, and just overall quality of life in this, and especially in Santa Cruz County, we need to have public involvement and call out these, I almost said rulers, pardon me, and call out these representatives that we have voted for and put them in office and made them in charge of our business. We need to take that back and tell them what our business should be. I think there's too much special interest going on. I think there's too many long terms of public office going on. We need to roll that over, get some fresh blood, new ideas going. And you need to get out there and investigate and evaluate what your valuable potentials are, what your qualities and attributes are in order to put those to work, such as be progressive in that mining industry. It helps all types of industries around here, your medical industries, automobile industries, drugs, and all types of things that you would never imagine that come out of the hills of our mines. Those things need to be open-minded and discussed freely, and go out and find the professionals and the people who are going to be experts in advising you along that way. We've been sitting flat for 10 years, and it's about time it stops, and I'm ready to progress on and give lots of suggestions and hope to people in my district. Thank you.
We have a question for Bill Barco from Tom Fisk. He says, thank you for your service to our country. Specific to the road to Walmart, is the approved bike pedestrian path going to be completed coincident with the road or later?
No, it will be coincident. That's going to be all part of the road. There will be a bike and pedestrian path for the entire length of the project.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
A question for Rich Ullery.
Is this from Tom Fisk
It
also?
is from Tom Fisk.
Okay.
He says, great start. Going forward, if elected, and you could only have one goal to accomplish with Continental Schools, what would it be?
It would be to have every student at that school be at or above grade level standards so that they can compete in the world. Is that good enough, Tom? Thanks.
That's it for the questions.
So if I could, I want to show Quail Creek Republican Club has a challenge coin that we give to our candidates to thank them for taking their time to come and speak with us. So I'd like to ask each of our candidates to come up, and I will give you a coin after I sanitize it. So we're going to do this right. So, Mr. Morgan, thank you for coming. Mrs. McEwen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Don't bite down on it to see if it's real.
Mr. Bracco, thank you so much.
That's my first sanitized point.
Mint condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Uller. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shelley.
So, folks, this brings us to the end of our
Right.
meeting today.
Do we have a chance to ask more questions or?
Oh, we do have a couple of questions.
Time related?
Sure.
Just a couple of things. Deborah, I wanted to ask you, you're talking about
Come on up, Deborah.
the community colleges, and which are the ones that are in your area?
We have Pima County Provisional College right in Rio Rico. I believe there's also affiliated with ASU in our area. They hit a little rough patch there a few years ago and got underfunded and undersupported, and now they're building themselves back up. The training programs that they would be doing with the mines are being helped and funded by the mines. So they're getting an influx of support money to do that. I would love to bolster that and talk to more community colleges up in the Tucson area and down in my district to see what other programs we can institute for technical services, technical studies, to get these students into jobs that pay more and give them longer employment.
I'm a strong believer in community colleges, and I think it gives students a chance that aren't quite ready for a four-year school. And it also gives them a chance to study something that they can immediately implement as an employee in a technical, like you're talking about. And I just think that in the area that we're in, it would be difficult to bolster that up and get the trade training that would be necessary. Do you see that as a possibility? You say they're re-looking at their whole program and how they can strengthen it in the areas of mining, and do you see that as a good possibility down there?
Absolutely. I know that the Provisional College down in Nogales works very closely with a lot of the businesses down there to tap into their needs and see what direction they should be taking as far as training students. So the mines are one thing. They have technical schools coming up with heating and cooling, air conditioning companies, technical services for computers. They are big on culinary training, and they will have memorandums of understanding and joint resources where the students actually go out and work for these people and get hands-on training. So yes, I think they're going to be very successful. And if the students have to go to Tucson to tap into those to begin with, that's going to be okay. And because along the road, down the road, it's going to trickle down when we get more businesses growing in Santa Cruz County and in LD2, more companies will come in. The economy will be bolstered, and they'll have more opportunities to go into big trucking companies and do work while they're training and go to the mines and other resources. So they're very active with the businesses down there and developing those programs in coordination with those businesses.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And one other thing real quick on education. This was in a survey that was done by our famous Star paper up in Tucson. One of the biggest concerns that people had that they interviewed in this survey was education. And I think, Rich, what you're talking about with Continental, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, these are the kind of things that I think people are concerned about, having programs that are real and that do get people in the upper echelon of the classes that they are a part of, juniors, seniors, whatever, and competing with. And so, you know, I think it's great. And it also, when we were doing the organizational deal showpiece over in the ballroom here a month or so ago, I asked a lot of people what their most important concern was in the up and coming election. Education also came up. Another thing that came up as big was fighting the internal organization of politics in whatever level you're talking at, particularly of course, our federal level, which is a very tough one to deal with. But how about the local level? And what we have lost to the blues, are these things that y'all feel that you can fight and get into and break up some of the old boy attitudes that are there? And so I guess I'm curious in asking you that question. And you're a very outspoken person, and that's great.
I think we're talking to you, Joseph.
I know you're looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Can you see me back?
No, you're crossing. No, yeah. As you mentioned, it's going to be a lot harder to do that on the federal level because of the ingrained power status that they created. They protect their own, in essence. And it's really, really sad and it's tragic. Social media has shown us the way, though. First of all, our President Trump uses Twitter, and he gets his message out there via that. And they can't stop that. They've tried. They're continuing to find ways to censor conservative voices, conservative platforms. But when you're in an elected office, it's much harder to do that because people will notice it, people see it. And so they're kind of limited on how they can. I don't know if you remember, Donald Trump had his Twitter account mysteriously shut down for a few days about 2 years ago. And of course, everybody freaked out, everybody panicked, and they said, oh, it was just some low-level guy in the back room that did this, and we got rid of him. And then, of course, you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know if you know him or whoever's watching, if you recognize that name. She's got a voice, okay? And she is heard, and she's given a platform, I do believe, by the national media as well. And yeah, it's one thing to laugh at her, and she is constantly saying things that are just laughably stupid. But that being said, she is an ardent leftist, and she uses social media to put forward this pie in the sky narrative that government can solve all the world's problems, and specifically to young people who they're really buying into that because of our screwed up education system. And so she's able to get that out there and get her name out there. And we can do that too. The young people can do that. Once you're there, you now have a platform. The press will talk to you. And if you're a principled person and want and desire to have truth put out there, and are not afraid to be called names for doing so, which I am not, just follow me on social media and you'll see that real fast. Then you can use that to start to shift that tide, and not just to win debates. I'm not interested in winning debate, but let's start turning the tide on public policy. Start putting forward the conservative positions and ideas unashamedly, unabashedly, and put that stuff out there to educate people on what it is, why we're at where we're at on some of these issues, like why is our healthcare system all screwed up? I can tell you, it's government. And but you need to be honest about that. Be very specific why. And when you got that platform, now you can use it. Am I going to make a lot of friends in DC for doing that? No, and I don't plan to. But I don't need a lot of friends necessarily. What I want to do is be a voice and a representative for my constituents and start to turn the tide by speaking out honestly on these things, so that we can start then putting forward good bills that are 2 pages long, 3 pages long. Not these monstrosities that are over 1,000 pages long, that are not written by lawmakers. They're written by bureaucrats. They're written by you, the lawmaker, and they should be just as simple as the Constitution of the United States is. The Constitution is so easy to read. Most people don't read it, unfortunately. It's the supreme law of the land. It's not these long tomes. Anytime you have a long bill like that, you know there's garbage in it. You don't need it. We need to be honest. We need to be open, total transparency. But that requires us to know what we're talking about if we're going to do that. And not just talk platitudes, not just talk talking points, and then be willing to engage in that fight, just like President Trump does when they try to twist your words, when they try to say things. Don't cower, don't hide, go at it full force and stand your ground. You'll win because you've got truth on your side. So that's my answer with regards to that.
Well, I know it's a tough thing to have to face, but it's something we've got to get cleared up. And I was so glad to hear people saying that right here, that they're aware of it and how acutely difficult it is to break in and break that old boy stuff up.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
So, thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end our session today, and it is with heavy hearts that we face the coronavirus, but it is with hope and enthusiasm that we move forward with potential leaders. Mr. Bracco currently leading us in the Sarita City Council, Mr. Ullery on the Continental School Board, and Mr. Morgan and Mrs. McEwen putting their hat in the ring to lead our country. And so with that, we're going to end today. To our Quail Creek Republican Club members, if there is something that you need and you aren't able to get it, please contact one of us and we will do all we can to help you. To those of you who are watching, maybe not even from Arizona, just look behind me. And as soon as those airfares are open and those flights are available, come to Arizona. Enjoy this. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, board members. And thank you, those who watched.
Never had a sanitized coin before.